Batman. Batman has always been my superhero. I can't relate to him whatsoever. Both of my parents are still alive and well. I'm not a billionaire, but something about this character just appeals to me so much. I could never really figure out what it was. That was until I saw The Batman, a film I think will go down as the best superhero film of all time. Alright, guys, the day is March 5th, no, March 6th, 2022. I am about to go see the movie that I've been waiting for nearly 2 years now, The Batman, directed by Matt Reeves. So, yeah, at the theater, it's gonna be crazy. Alright, peace out. As soon as the movie started, I felt this overwhelming sense of coldness and darkness. I crossed my arms as the static text read, The Batman. I could tell this story wasn't going to play out like any other Batman story has before, and I was right. The way that Gotham City appeared was indescribable. It didn't feel like a green screen or a backlot, but it also didn't feel like Chicago. It was a perfect representation of what Gotham should like. It was a moving comic. The best way I can describe it is a love child of the animated series and the Arkham Knight Gotham. The opening scene where Batman narrates himself and his role as the shadows of Gotham allows you to get down into the cracks and crevices of the city. A city overruled by the underworld, a living hell. The young boy running from Batman says it all. Gotham is a place where it's easier to be bad than it is to be good. Your choices are limited. Be a criminal or die at the hand of one. The weight of the depressing and out of control nature in Gotham is incredibly apparent, and it's one of my favorite features in the film. The overall story of the Batman is undoubtedly amazing. I find it highly reminiscent of the Long Halloween story arc. The periodic murders of high-ranking members of the local society as a gentle stab to point out the many flaws in our culture is a great concept that the filmmakers did really well. Speaking of, the cinematography of this movie was spectacular. Every shot, every angle, every scene spoke. You could feel the meaning and importance of every single second of visuals in this film. The scene where Penguin's car crashes, and as he looks out the shattered window, he sees the Batman, slowly walking. You can hear his boots clank as though he has spurs. It gives you chills. And the music in the background, I mean, I've been saying this since Spider-Man Far From Home came out, but Michael Giacchino is going to go down as one of the greatest composers of all time. Those three notes in the Batman theme are mesmerizing. It's scary yet epic. The whole film is scary yet epic. From the music to the performers, this film is just amazing. I'll say that Paul Dano as the Riddler is something I would have never seen coming, but his portrayal of the iconic character is great. The only thing I had against him in this movie was his motive. He seemed like a very mentally ill human who was definitely not alright, but I don't see how that would make him have so much hate for Bruce. They never knew each other, as he had no personal connection to him. It would have made more sense if it was more reminiscent of the Batman Hush storyline, where Thomas Elliot, one of Bruce Wayne's former friends turned enemy, teams up with the Riddler to torment Batman. If you want to learn more, read the book. Don't watch the DCAMU movie. It's not that great. But without real personal motives, his character feels incomplete. Other than that, I'll say that Zoe Kravitz did amazing as Selena Kyle. She felt like the most comic accurate Catwoman we've ever had. The only thing I had against her is that she had an awesome costume with all the cool detail, but her cat ear ski mask was just annoying. If they were trying to go for a more realistic approach, they could have used a mask more similar to the Catwoman Soul Stealer comic suit, which, if you're looking for a good read, I highly recommend it. It's a good book for all ages. Selena's character arc throughout the film is incessantly beautiful. From her first team up with Batman to her murder attempt on Carmine Falcone, she was just so badass. Speaking of Carmine, I would have to say that my biggest frustration in this whole film was when characters would say Falcone instead of Falcone. In nearly all Batman adaptations, Falcone has always had that hard E, so hearing it said differently kind of bugged me. I think that Jeffrey Wright did a pretty bang up job as Gordon too. He really nailed the cop who has to deal with all the bullcrap, but still has this urge to do the right thing and make people safer at any cost. even asking a vigilante who acts above the law to assist him in taking down thugs. I also think that Andy Serkis worked wonders with Alfred, though I do think that Andy Serkis has been in just so much stuff that I find it hard to see him as anything but Smeagol or Claw from Black Panther. I think his role in carrying out the story throughout the Sins of My Father part were very important. Also, what the heck was going on with Penguin? I mean, like, there's so many prosthetics on Colin Farrell in this movie that, like, you forget that he's even playing them. Though I will say that the makeup department for this movie made miracles with Penguin. I'll acknowledge that Penguin is a hard character to pull off, and that very few people have the looks or acting chops to portray him. So, when you have the resources to change the way someone looks, I'm glad they chose acting talent over looks. Finally, Robert Pattinson is Batman. I remember when I first saw that he was going to be next in line to play Batman, and I wasn't convinced. He was skinny and pretty, two things I never really saw in the character of Batman. But now I recognize how much sheer talent he has as an actor. I'll say the Bruce Wayne of this film is very different from anything we've ever seen before. For once, we see more Batman than Bruce Wayne in a film, and it is awesome. It just shows that Batman has taken over and that Bruce Wayne isn't much of a man anymore. Even Selena Kyle falls in love with Batman instead of Bruce. I was completely blown away by Robert Pattinson's performance as this beloved character, and I have to thank him for realizing why I love this character so much. The last scene of this film, I'm unsure the exact wording, but he said something along the lines of, "Fear isn't what we need anymore. These people need hope." That line is just so powerful that it doesn't need me to quote it correctly. It takes me back a year or two when I was sitting in my bedroom talking about Batman and his no kill rule.
Batman isn't a person. He is an entity that shows that even in the darkest spots where fear is most dominant, there will always be justice.
Now, if this video gets to 20 likes, I'll drop that original video. But I can't believe it took me this long to remember my connection to this character. And it's not what you think it is. Batman is a character who has stayed incredibly popular for what, nearly 90 years now? He's had many different portrayers, but at the end of the day, he, the character, is a man whose only power is to do the right thing, to make people feel safer, to make sure they are safer. He's more than a caped crusader. He is a protector. He is Gotham City's protector. He is the Batman.
Alright, I just got done watching The Batman, and I have to say that was crazy. So, yeah. First thoughts.